Welcome to the Week 2 preview of Women of Color in Tech, a blueprint for inspiring and mentoring the next generation of technology innovators. That is a title. I always have to look and make sure I read it perfectly. For Chapter 1, author Susanne Tedrick and founder of GLIST, Girls Leading in Science and Technology, we explored the current state of women of color in tech. I'm just going to take 2 seconds and really stop so we can have a conversation. We've invited Jen Rajchel in with us to talk about Chapter 2. Susanne, what do we want the readers to get from this second chapter?
We want readers to understand the wealth of possibilities that exist in the tech sector and really expanding the pie of what a tech career could look like. Very often people associate tech with coding, and while you can definitely become a software developer, a software engineer, that's just a small piece of a bigger pie that is, tech jobs that are available. There's things in consulting, user experience, cybersecurity. It really is a matter of just finding where your passions and your skills lie, and being open to the possibilities.
And I do believe that Jen is perfect for Chapter 2. She's a storyteller with a passion for crafting narratives, connecting people, curating connections. Jen is the Director of Marketing and Customer Experience at ZENQMS. Jen, how did you like Chapter 2?
Well, first, it's a pleasure to be here with all of you, and I thought it was fantastic. And I think for me, what was so exciting was kind of all of the possibilities that you have laid out, Susanne, and just being able to think about the skills that you need. And also, I mean, for me, what was most important, and it was something that I kind of learned later, was that you really have to figure out what you value, and that you can kind of direct where you want to go based on your values and based on your interest, and that you may do a couple of these different jobs, but really kind of taking ownership over that path, and really being self-reflective and thinking about how that translates, and kind of the ways that you laid out the skills I thought were really exciting, because then you're able to kind of connect those and see how you might fit in one of those roles.
So I know for me, I'm currently in cybersecurity, but I have held a number of technical roles. Help desk, just going through the different tiers of help desk, had taught me a lot. And even now in the role that I'm in, it serves me. All the experience serves where I am now. And I know that putting everything together will serve the roles that I have in the future. So Melina, for you, as you start to look forward towards the first entry level positions for your career, even for the GLIST girls, where's the value in Chapter 2 that they should look for?
So as I was reading Chapter 2, and as I had mentioned pre-recording, I learned a lot of new vocabulary from the various different tech careers that I hadn't really known much about. And it's not, like now I consider myself an expert in any one of these, but at least I have a basic idea of the different components that are out there. Which, as you mentioned, Ms. Tedrick, was kind of the main idea behind having this chapter. So I think it definitely succeeded in that. I did learn a lot about the various different careers, because the only one that I had really known within my bubble was one that was more oriented towards programming and software engineering and things like that. I had really appreciated the structure of the chapter. As Jen said, I kind of liked how it had the different components, the skills you need, where you can find more resources to kind of kickstart and learn more about each career. I thought those were super duper helpful, and I guess well-rounded in that sense. What I also liked was that each career option also addressed like the kind of lifestyle you would have with each career. I think that's something we usually don't hear about like at the beginning. And I'm starting to realize that it is really important that you are happy with your job and your way of living. Otherwise, you won't want to pursue, that certain career in tech. So having that awareness ahead of time is super important. I would say, because you asked kind of more personalized or geared towards, our readers who are 7th and 8th grade campers or, 8th grade instructors / undergraduate instructors from our camp. I think kind of my takeaway from this, because I know that the structure and wording was very, very career oriented. And I think I can empathize, maybe a 7th and 8th grader thinking, do I need to, think about this so seriously from now? And I would say, no, it doesn't have to stress you out to start thinking about like your strengths and weaknesses yet. This is, again, coming just from like 18-year-old advice. But I think because like maybe, at that age, I don't think I really knew what my strengths and weaknesses were yet. But it's still very insightful to know what's out there and to, instead of trying to like pick apart your strengths and weaknesses, maybe just, try out a bunch of things, like the different, maybe click on the links that were in the more additional information, and see what you may be interested in. I think, for that certain like age group, maybe that could be a good start or takeaway from the chapter.
Absolutely. I completely agree with all of your assessments. When you're in 7th and 8th grade, like you don't have to necessarily start putting the building blocks, for a particular career. And careers are not linear. So you may decide to go into software development and say, I really think that technical sales is something that I would like. Or, maybe I might be better suited for a cybersecurity career. That's the beauty about, at least having the understanding of what's needed and, where you can go to find those resources. Because at least you have an idea and you kind of get to know yourself through experience, where your strengths, your weaknesses, your passions, the things that you want to avoid for dear life. You get that through life experience. So for the younger readers, absolutely, it's all about exploration and just taking in as much information as you can and creating the path that makes the sense for you.
So one thing that I took note of, actually two things. One, you mentioned the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery, or the ASVAB for the military. So please, GLIST girls, take a look at that. I'm not saying go join the military as much as be aware of that test and what it will tell you about yourself, your general knowledge and your technical knowledge. And then for everyone, project management. That's something that you detailed that just, across all sectors, industries, is a skill set that at least get you in the door, if not make you a critical part of a team, any team. So individually, what are your thoughts around project management and getting into a technical space that's not your area of expertise? How can we leverage that, Jen?
Wow, great question. And I would say one of my first tech roles was in project management, and I was, unfamiliar with a lot of tech. And so I would say too, just to students who are working on this right now, you're project managers, you're creating teamwork, you're designers. And so even though you're not looking at that career trajectory so soon, you're building all of these skills, and now you have some of the lexicon to be able to talk about it and to be able to think about how what you're doing right now plays into that. From a project management perspective, for me, it's a lot of team building, and it's a lot of asking folks, you're almost like a collaborator in chief in which you're learning how to talk across all of these different things. So, for example, I was working on an app for Shakespeare. I was an English major, so I loved Shakespeare, but thinking about designing it, working with technologists and coders, working with a design team who is designing the interface, working with the publishers to see what rights we needed. Copyright was a big thing for us to look at. And so for me, what was exciting is you're often project managing yourself throughout school, throughout various different things. And so a lot of it is listening and figuring out how to translate across and then coming towards a common goal. And so for me, I've done that in all of my positions, but particularly in tech. And I would say, even if you're not on the more technical side, for me, the goal has always been to be technical enough that you can have those conversations and understand, and again, be able to translate.
So one of the things you said was around Shakespeare and publishing. So Susanne, with writing this book, how much of it was project management? And like Jen said, managing yourself.
It's almost 99% managing yourself, and then managing your part of the process. So I got a crash course in publishing through writing this book, and understanding what my responsibility to the team is in terms of my deliverables, making sure that I'm adhering to schedules, and then making sure that I'm making what I have to do happen. With publishing, they take deadlines very, very seriously. When you miss a deadline, it really does impact many different people, and many different financial kind of indicators. So it's really important that you manage your time well, and when you say that you're going to turn something around, do it. If there's going to be a problem, you have to communicate it. If there are things that are blocking your progress, you have to talk about it, so that you as a team and ultimately the project manager, in this case it was the editor, can help you so that you can be successful. Project management is applicable in just about every instance in industry, and in your personal life as well.
So, as I stated, what jumped out at me was cybersecurity. It pretty much just jumped off the page and bit me. Cybersecurity, project management. What jumped out at you, Melina, as far as all the work roles? What just jumped at you?
Well, I may have my biases, but definitely the software engineering ones, data science too. I think especially data science was, while I was reading it, when you would kind of start bringing up the rhetorical questions as to what you may start to think through when you're handling data. And in our day and age, always the first thing that comes up is or in my head, or that I think would be important for data scientists to also be thinking about are, is my, usage of the customer's data, is it ethical? Does it, is it uncovering any biases that I might not be aware of? And I think that also just ties into the whole, argument and importance of diversifying, who is actually handling that data. So I think those, I think just personality-wise, I am more on the geeky end of the tech careers. So with all of the development and stuff like that. So those are the ones that stood out to me, and it was, easy for me to make those connections to also the more, social and political impact. Because I think and also just handling something like GLIST, both of those things are considered, because it is, a social initiative, but it's also implementing technical concepts building, skills in programming and things like that. So yeah, I would lean more towards, data science, software engineer, but I understand, I think I still learned a lot from all of the other ones. Oh, I think actually a third one, because I have this on my mind. So I could, at the end of the day, I might just go on, I might just say one thing about each career. But the other one was the the user experience design and web design. Because especially with, kicking off our book review and thinking about social media marketing, and also, GLIST wants to redesign its website. Those different terms that I learned and the things you need to consider on the user's end, I was like, I gotta go back and check out those links.
It sounds like there's a lot of value in chapter 2, right? So Jen, thanks for joining us. Again, Susanne, we're grateful to have the author in here with us from week to week. The GLIST girls, Melina, appreciate it. I'm Neferteri. Everyone viewing, we invite you to purchase the book, download it, read along with us. GLIST girls, your copy is complimentary, courtesy of the Pollination Project. Next time, come join us as we review chapter 3, Industry and Other Options, right? So Women of Color in Tech, a blueprint for inspiring and mentoring the next generation of technology innovators. Thanks so much.